that there's a crew in town. The head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear. The sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair.
Sheriff got a secret he won't keep. Judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell. Dark pass away, get the sound of a shotgun shell.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Neighbors hide behind their blinds. Whisper tales of troubled minds. Skeletons covering the mountainside. A treacherous reality in the pines.
Winter reveals the hidden lies. Moonlight couldn't mask the cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise. All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be
Winter reveals the hidden lie. Moonlight could mask their cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise.
all the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the show. If you've not been here before, my name is Elizabeth, and this is Hillbilly Crime. Running late tonight. Sorry. How is everybody? Man, it's been a busy day. Busy day. You know, one thing about covering all of this stuff is, we're talking about a lot of dark, just sad stuff. Just a lot of dark, sad stuff, I tell you. And there's Sweet Tater. How are you, Mommy?
Oh, I'm just so fine. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Can't complain. Nobody'd listen even if we did, would they?
I don't like to complain.
Well, how was your day?
Oh, my day was wonderful. I had my radio show. And then I worked on my yard, a whole big bunch. And there was some bushes that I wanted to move someplace else. So I did that. And it was just wonderful.
Well, that's nice. It's starting to change. We're starting to get some fall weather now, ain't we?
Well, it's supposed to warm back up, though.
Well, one of the things tonight's Whitesburg Smex work. One of the things that we're gonna do is we are gonna watch the court TV interview that Taya did with Vinny She did that a few days ago, and I watched it, and I thought that she did a really good job. Um, whenever she first came out, she got a whole lot of, just junk. People really gave her a hard time. After
Uh-oh, I think she left us. So that means I get to play my banjo. She promised, didn't she? She said that I could play my banjo, but I wasn't ready. I should have been ready, but I wasn't.
Okay, so let me get this up here real quick. Hopefully this we won't have turn this down some. All right. Having a hard time here.
Small Kentucky town. Defendant in a lawsuit regarding one of his deputies, former deputy himself. Talia, first of all, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for being strong enough to talk about this stuff, because a lot of people would just want to erase it, run away from it. And we appreciate you coming on here. Did we lose her? There she is. Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know what just happened. My phone went nuts.
That's okay. All right. Talia, first of all, let's talk about the judge. How long have you known, or did you know, Judge Kevin Mullins?
Since I was 16.
Okay, under what was the context of you meeting him when you were 16 years old?
I had a position at the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. My sister worked for him for Edison Banks. And Mr. Mullins was the assistant Commonwealth Attorney at the time. And I had went over to his office to learn how to take a deposition, the first encounter that I had with him.
So it was an employment situation?
Yeah, kind of. But like I said, I was underage. It wasn't really a formal job. It was kind of like formal training for me.
Okay.
In office management, filing, things like that. Yeah.
And what happened at 16? At some point?
I guess they froze up again.
Sorry,
Was the first time that he was inappropriate with me, and he had me give him oral, and he paid me for it, and he told me to clean myself up and not to tell anybody.
And he said, clean yourself up. What do you mean?
And
Does he
that
mean
just
like,
began.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
His bodily fluids? Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was there. I had my top down.
Wow. And how
money
old
in
are
my
you at
face.
this?
Come on, you good people.
Oh, he's not a judge at that point.
No.
What do you do after this happens? After this incident, 16-year-old girl.
It just escalated from there. It went to having sex parties and getting high with them, doing performances with other women, they would have other men have sex with us a lot. That continued up until I started going to jail and stuff, and they sent me off to rehab at the age of 20 after my mom died.
Okay, that's a lot you just gave us right there, Taya. Let's go back a little bit. So you have the first encounter, and how does the next encounter happen, and how does this level of escalation go? Like what? How
He
does
just started introducing me to his friends, and like it was just made very clear that like that's where my value was.
Were you getting paid all the time for this?
That didn't matter.
Was
what?
Was he paying? You said the first time he threw money at you. Is that the nature of the relationship?
He paid for it. He paid for it, yeah, throughout up until I started getting in trouble, and then it became about my court cases, and that would be his. And it wasn't just him. There was other attorneys involved, and the county attorney, Harold Bowling, the one that was over my child support, the case that I am on parole on until 2099, he was really bad with me too. I had a lot of really negative experiences with a lot of people from that courthouse.
Okay. Now, people listen, again, we haven't independently verified any of this, but this is your story, and we want you to tell your story. I think it's important about everything that's happening here. There have been a lot of allegations. Not the first time we're hearing about this. When you say...
Yeah, I'm not the only
one. Right. Why hasn't anyone heard of this until now from you? Explain it from your viewpoint. If you're a 16-year-old girl and this is happening to you, why does it continue to happen? Why don't you say something or do something about it?
We were groomed for that. They taught us that that's what we were there for. It was so normal. And like the sex part of it, that is really the least of the problems here in Letcher County. It's the way they abuse their power and the things that they do to men and women alike and families and innocent children just to keep their secrets.
Now, when you say they, I don't want you to name specific names, you don't have to, but what type of people are you talking about when you say they? Because I understand Judge Mullins, I know who he is. When you group them together, why do you group them together as a they? Like, what type of people are we talking about?
The higher ups of Letcher County. It's the other attorneys, the
You know, they say not to pray for patience because the Lord will absolutely give you something, to teach us patience. And, there's nothing I can do about this freezing. It is just as frustrating to me as it is to you. I'm sorry. I can't get myself all worked up over it. Just nothing I can do about it.
Pretty much in the building surrounding too. There's a lot of like other attorneys and even some like doctors and stuff in town that are involved in these parties that they would have.
Okay, so let's go ahead and stop it right there, and let's kind of address a few of the things that Taya mentioned there. She did such a great job, I think. I've said this before. It is difficult becoming somebody that you've never been before. And, I kind of, the questions that Vinny was asking her really upset me. They really did. Like, why is this the first time we're hearing from you? Are you joking? Are you joking? Like, we've been covering this for a year, about how this stuff has been an open, secret. And everybody knew about this stuff, and there wasn't anywhere to go. Like, you had some of the top people, the most powerful people in our county that were behaving in a certain fashion. And so the others just followed suit. That's what happens when you have somebody at the top. They set the environment. Like, whenever you elect somebody to a sheriff's department or to any department, and they're able to bring in their own staff that way, whoever they want to hire, they can hire. They set the professional standards of behavior. We saw with Mickey in the sheriff's department what kind of standards they had for their communications. It was naked pictures on a turtle. I mean, stupid stuff. It was so juvenile. And I mean, okay, if that's how you behave outside of work, see, that's a problem. That's a problem. When we know how somebody is in their private life, in their personal life, and then we hire them into a position, and we expect that they're not going to bring those same characteristics, those same decision-making skills, those same behaviors. You think they're not going to bring those into the office? Duh. Of course they are. That's what gets them in freaking so much trouble. And, when you set that standard, that bar so low, man, I've always heard that the state police, the Kentucky State Police, that their bar was set really, really high. Man, I don't know about that. Because the deeper that I dig into all of this, everybody knew what Mullins was doing. And I want you, if you're going to sit there and say that you didn't know, you look me in the eye. I look at you face to face, and you look me dead in the eye and tell me that you didn't know. And I'll make my decision if I think I believe you or not. Because I'm not, right now, I don't believe that nobody didn't know, that was working down there, especially if you were a career Whitesburg professional lawyer in the courthouse. No way did you not hear the rumors. No way. No way. So one of my girlfriends came by to see me yesterday. And we talked about this interview. And well, we talked about Sarah's interview as well. Sarah was the guard, the former guard, who came out and also spoke about, things that she saw there. My friend was kind of upset because she felt like Sarah was guilty herself of some of these things that she was saying that she saw, and that she didn't think it was right, that if she was guilty of these same things, that she come out and tell it. And I was like, yeah, but that's the thing. That's the thing. That's what we're gonna have to understand. Excuse me. We're gonna have to understand there ain't nobody innocent here. There ain't no saints. There ain't no angels here. Everybody's guilty. Everybody's gonna be guilty. One of the reasons why we don't have anybody coming forward like Sarah did, because in my opinion, is because if they do, and we start digging into what they tell us, we're going to find out how they were connected to it. That's all that I've seen so far. Though there've been a couple that want to tell on their coworkers, their former coworkers. And then you start digging and you find out, oh my God, this person that gave me this information is 10 times more guilty than that one. But they think that they're being sneaky. They think that they're trying to cover their tracks. So, I know that there was this big write-up in the newspaper the other day, that our former jailer, Bert Sloan, went to the newspaper and said that he was calling for a probe because of all of these unfounded accusations that were being put out, and that Judge Mullins was his friend, and that he had never seen anything that Mullins had done like this, never seen anything, I didn't read all of it. I just read a few pieces of it. But I read enough of it. But here's the thing. Bert Sloan is not a jailer anymore. So Bert Sloan, and this big write-up in the paper, like, oh, he's called for this investigation. Now we're going to get that investigation now. Why do you think that?
Well, I think it froze up again. What do y'all think? Come on, you good people, story I'll tell. Happened to me in June of last year.
All right. Thank you, Mommy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But so anyway, back to my conversation with my friend, you know, I said there's not going to be anybody, but that's what we need. That's what we want. We're wanting people to come out because that's what they're going to be saying. They're going to have to come out and say, look, I did this too. You know, but this was just how it was done. This is just the way things were done. You say you're sorry. People are so like they don't want to say I'm sorry. That goes so far to say somebody to say they're sorry. I shouldn't have done it, but I felt pressured. I was manipulated. You know, I mean, whatever the case, I'm just saying, you know, I just followed suit, you know. It's really easy to find out stuff. So I was told that this one guy that works at the jail is on like his 7th wife. And it's the 7th wife that he's taken home from the jail. So that kind of stuff. And I haven't confirmed that yet, but I'm getting ready to. I'm going to try and I'll tell you if it's true or not. Because it's very easy to pull marriage licenses. See how many times they've been married, or this person's been married on file. And then you're able to pull the jail records or pull the criminal records. So you can see, was that person that's on that marriage certificate, were they in the jail or around about that time? You know, it's real easy to be able to find out that kind of stuff. But those are the things that we're looking at, you know. Taya talked about these parties. I've talked about these parties before. And just to give a little bit of clarification on what I've kind of uncovered, they were just regular parties. Like I don't reckon it was as sensationalized as kind of what the rumors make them out to be. They were just parties. Like these people like to drink, right? Like people like Taya, they were young, they were partying. You got to think these like Kevin Mullins and everybody else, they're from this area. They're from here. Kevin grew up here. So he went to school with, say, people that worked in the jail. He went to school as a kid and as a young adult. And so he grew up in this community. Well, addiction doesn't discriminate. That's something that most of us that grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, we already know. We found out a long time ago. Addiction doesn't discriminate. And a lot of these people, allegedly, Kevin Mullins partied too. You know, people like Daniel Dotson was partying too, even though he ain't no rug addict. He's just a hardcore pervert pay. Yeah, buddy, you sure are. Yeah, you sure are. I mean, it just... I've uncovered a whole lot, and it blows my mind. Okay, back to the newspaper. Bert has come out and told the newspaper man that he'd like to have a probe, I think is what it was called, into, you know, clearing these people, I guess. But just because he told the newspaper man that he would like to have an investigation, that doesn't mean there's an investigation going to come. You know who should have said it? Is Brian Sloan. Brian Sloan is the current jailer. So if Brian Sloan would write a formal request for an investigation into his jail, he would have a much better chance at getting one. He would at least have to be approved or denied because he would be requesting a formal investigation. But you see, that's not what happened. Bert Sloan, the former jailer, goes to the newspaper man and they work up this article to put out. There's no investigation. And as far as we know, I don't think there's going to be one unless the feds come in. And from what we saw last night, the show that we did last night with the DEA coming in and getting old serial unaliver, I think the feds are close. I think they're really close. We see that they're in Pike County. Oh, they're getting Judge Hall left and right on all these fraud charges, all these theft charges. You think these people in Letcher County, and only they know what they've done and what they've not done. So if you have been a habitual partier, if you've been one of these womanizers, they might be a little bit scared. They might be a little bit scared right now. We're not going to have no investigation from the state police. We're not going to have no investigation from our sheriff's department. We ain't going to have no investigation from the Whitesburg PD. And you sure as hell ain't going to have one from Neon or Jenkins. That's all that's left. That's it. So the only chance that we got is for the feds to come in. If the feds come in and they actually do a real investigation, it's all she wrote. All she wrote. We have uncovered screenshots of conversations from the preacher man. Oh, yeah. What kind of preacher man you think talks like that? What kind of preacher man you think gets on them, honey? And I haven't even begun to put up here what all we've got on preacher man because I can't put it up here. I can't put it up here. They were all working together. All of them working together. You got Judge Mullins being over the pretty much he was over the jail because he said who went to jail. He said who got out of jail. He used the preacher for the drug tests and to hold over people's heads, and that he basically, I mean, you talk about push. He was very threatening sounding. I just can't even, I don't even know the words. I don't even have the words. Now, I've said before, I know I'm kind of bouncing around. I'm sorry. I've said before that a lot of this stuff happened 20 years ago, right? So you've got Judge Mullins allegedly coming out of school, you know, he's assistant attorney. He's getting to be big shot. You got Edison Banks up there as prosecutor. You got Jamie Hatton as county attorney. These people have been in these positions for years and years and years. So they've worked together side by side every single day for every single year. And the amount of crap that Judge Mullins was dishing out is just unbelievable. Okay, so my girlfriend, she's telling me this, you know, that she didn't really like that. She worked at the courthouse several years ago. She went through the drug court program. She was doing really good. Oh, okay. I'll mute mommy. That's okay. I'm sorry. But she was getting ready to work in the courthouse. She was going through the drug court program, and they were going to give her a job somewhere, but they hadn't really put their finger on where they were going to put her yet. And so she goes down to the courthouse, and she's in there. They introduce her to Judge Mullins, and Judge Mullins says, well, yeah, you can allegedly says, you can clean my offices. I've got some offices across the way, and they're real dusty and they're dirty, and I'll take you over there. Here, just wait a minute, and I'll take you over there. You can go with me, and I'll show you where everything is, and, you know, you can clean my offices. And she's going on and on and on, telling me about these offices and what all he's saying to her and this and that, and I'm thinking, what offices are you talking about? And she looked at me and she said, exactly. And I was kind of confused. And she said, oh, no. She said, so he had to go to court or something. So he goes on and you meet me after court and I'll take you over there. And she's like, okay. Yeah, okay. She goes into the smoking room there at the courthouse and tells her people that are sitting there about this conversation that she just had with Mullins. And they all start going, oh, yeah, he's going to try to F you, girl. He's going to try to F you, girl. Oh, my God. And she's like mortified. Like, what? What are you talking about? Well, allegedly, one of the people that Taya named, I'm not going to name him, but Taya named him. Allegedly, he was there, and he told her, do not go anywhere with that man alone. Now, she loves him, not Judge Mullins. She loves this big higher up name. She loves him. She says, you know, she credits him with saving her that day, I guess. Or maybe I credit him for saving her that day. There were no offices. There were no offices. So that means, and I believe her, she's my friend. I believe every word that comes out of her mouth about this. If that's the case, then he had this whole big ruse, right? He had this big ruse that he would use to lure these women. And it wasn't just in that fashion, right? So going back to okay, sorry y'all. Okay, Mullins, that means that he would have that ruse, drinking, you know, he lived his life too. You know, he wasn't just a judge. He wasn't just a lawyer. You know, he liked to play cards, allegedly. You know, he was part of this community. So he had friends, he had family. You know, he grew up here. He worked here. He played here. Everything he did was here. And so it only stands to reason, it's common sense that he would date women from here. If he did, you know, he's not going to be a virgin, I'm sure, you know. So, and thank you, Miss Connie. Thank you, Miss Connie. But what I was getting at with Mullins was, so he's partied with these women, right? Allegedly. He's partied with these women at one point in time. He thought, oh, you're pretty. You know, you want to do some hanky panky, or however it went down. I'm sure it was much more crude than that, but we want to try to be as best as we can here. And so I'm sure he's probably partied with these girls like Taya back in the day. And then, crap. Sorry. That is my kid. He always calls at the wrong time. But then, so these girls end up going to jail. And this is the part that Taya was talking about. Once they get done with them, then it's time to start putting them in jail. Well, but you know, they've probably went through their own issues, you know. Like I said, we ain't no, you do so good, Mommy. You do so good. Let's see. I wanted to get a comment here. Mackenzie. She said, I consider Taya a victim because she was only 16 years old and she was groomed. She was absolutely a victim. Taya was a victim the same way that Ashley Bentley was a victim. And I think that Miss Ashley is probably one of the biggest victims in this entire thing. And you know, I feel really, really bad because I had a really wrong impression of her. Um, through some people like to give bad information, like I said the other night. Some people lie, and some people, well, not some. I guess everybody has their own ulterior motives. They have their own agendas. If I've learned anything through my doing my own kind of investigation and stuff, um, if I've learned anything, it has been that you can't trust anything that anybody says, because there's so many people in this um, that have things to hide and that they do not want out. Um, Even though this stuff has been out for a long time, listen, if you thought your secrets were safe, all this stuff's been back behind your back for a long time. That's one thing I also learned about the courthouse. That's a biggest backstabbingest rumor mill, gossip mongering place I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they eat their own young there. So it's really not a great place when it comes to backstabbing. I mean, the amount of people that we have uncovered having affairs down there over the years is it's just like, my gosh, what the heck? And that is a perfect example of setting that standard. It was acceptable. That behavior was acceptable. When old dude went to take me into Danny Webb's office at the sheriff's department to fire me, and we couldn't get in the office because old deputy was in there with whoever the girl was from the courthouse, that they in there doing their little hanky panky. I mean, perfect timing. Perfect timing. You'd be firing me because I bring my Bible with me every morning, and we walk in on fixing his pants on his way back out the door. I mean, he didn't get fired. I'm sure that never even got addressed. I'm sure it didn't. Probably never said a word about it. You know, that kind of stuff can't be acceptable. It can't be accepted. But let's try to finish listening to Taya real quick before Mommy. Oh, well, never mind. We won't finish listening to Taya because I closed it out. We will read this though. So here's an old newspaper article, and it's this was in 2009 when this article was written, but it's from here. This is going to explain to you what Letcher County has been dealing with for a long, long time. Former Letcher Circuit Judge, who was at the center of a public corruption scandal here more than 16 years ago, is facing new criminal charges. Larry D. Collins, who became the first sitting circuit judge to be indicted in Kentucky. Great. What a great thing to be known for. The first ever. When he was charged with accepting bribes in 1992, was arrested in Lexington recently after being charged with making unauthorized purchases on the debit card of a former employer. I really want to see the charges for our Commonwealth Attorney's Office. I want to see the charges for the county attorney's office. I want to see the charges for the fiscal court at the sheriff's department. I want to see all those financials. We desperately need a forensic accountant because the audits, those annual audits that we keep reading, they're not even designed to find out if there's any, missing money. They're not even designed to find any of that. What they are designed for is to see if there are policies and procedures in place to be able to find waste, fraud, and abuse. And every year it comes back and says, nope, y'all ain't got it right yet. No, no, no. Every year, the same thing, the same thing. I knew mommy wouldn't last very long. She gets bored. She gets tired of hearing me talk. Sorry. Hopefully, we won't freeze up. He was arrested in Lexington recently after being charged. Okay, Collins, 55, from Lexington. Okay. He was charged with 3 counts of theft by unlawful taking more than $300 and 3 counts of fraudulent use of a credit card. He was also charged with being a convicted felon in possession of a handgun. This is our judge, you guys. This was our judge who allegedly paid for homosexual Smex. Yeah, it didn't just start with him, I'm sure, and it didn't end with him either. So it seems like every time somebody got up into that judge, well, not everybody. I still haven't heard anything about Judge Woods. Judge Jim Woods, I've not really heard anything about. I'm sure now that I've said that, 1,000 people will send me something. But so far, I've not heard a whole lot. I've not heard a whole lot about him. He is the one that was our judge before Kevin, and he's also the judge that Mickey credits as being like a father figure to him. Let's see. All right. He was also charged. Okay. Collins is accused of using his employer's debit card over a 3-year period for his own personal gain without permission. The employer is believed to be Hospice of the Bluegrass. Well, that sounds about right. Sounds about right. Why would you steal from Hospice? Like, you know, people having a conscience, you can tell if people have a conscience or not. You can tell. Trust me, you can tell. An arrest citation written by Officer McCrickard of Lexington Fayette Police, monetary amounts, but says the total was well over $100 in 6 months. What? That April, the document says. Collins was taken to the Fayette County Detention Center where bond was set at $37,500. He has since been released from custody. The charges against him have been referred to a grand jury. Collins assumed the office of Letcher County Circuit Judge in January 1992 after defeating longtime Judge Bird Hogg by a margin of nearly 2-1. Less than a year later, on November 22nd, 1992, Collins was arrested by the KSP at his home near Blackie and charged with accepting $7,000 and drugs to influence the outcome of a criminal case. And I wonder who the prosecutors and them were at that time. Wasn't it James Wiley Craft that was a prosecutor at this time? Because they did a really big corruption investigation back then. And I know James Wiley got disbarred because they found that he had a lot of these lawyers around here miss deadlines. They've missed certain deadlines and it screwed cases all up. Jenny was talking last night on the show about how, she was working on a case with a very high profile attorney that everybody knows his name as co-counsel, and he's never done anything. He's never showed up. He's never done nothing. Jenny's done it all. And, if Jenny wasn't doing it, then the work just wouldn't get done. A lot of lawyers around here are lazy. They'll take your money. They're entitled. They'll take your money and they'll tell you, oh, yeah, well, you get me 10 grand. You get me 10 grand. I've never seen an easier sale. You got people who are being brought up on BS charges. People who their children are being jerked out of their homes for shit. Forgive me, Lord. But I'm telling you what, man, it just absolutely makes me so upset that somebody with the moral fiber of Daniel Dotson would be appointed as the commissioner for family court. So somebody with his moral fabric was making decisions on who is appropriate with custody, child support. Are you joking me? What what's the name? What was the name of that show called? Twilight Zone. What Twilight Zone are we in? I cannot even begin to tell you how terrifying that is and how many victims of the system that we're really looking at. I mean, it's just staggering. Staggering. Let's talk a little bit about Patrick Little. Patrick Little. Oh, he gets charged, indicted on 44 counts of Smex abuse. 2 children, one under 12, one under 16. 22 counts on one of Smex abuse and 22 counts of unlawful transaction with a minor. Our favorite prosecutor was his defense attorney, Matt Butler. Matt Butler gets appointed to prosecute Commonwealth attorney. So now he's prosecuting his client. Oh, but no, he's not allowed to do that. He has to recuse from the case. Well, that would be nice if he did. Patrick's case gets negotiated, gets a plea deal. Well, there still ain't no recusal filed. And who's the one that's supposed to be handling that case? Well, they appoint Jamie Hatton. At least that's what the Mountain Eagle says in its paper, that they appointed Jamie Hatton as special prosecutor. Well, he's a misdemeanor prosecutor. He's not a circuit court prosecutor. He's not a Commonwealth prosecutor. He's a county attorney. That's not how that goes. You're supposed to appoint another Commonwealth attorney to do that. But they negotiate the deal of the century. We're going to dismiss all these counts and just leave one of each, or two. Well, I think it was just one. And then we're going to recommend to the judge, who's Judge Jimmy Kraft, by the way. We're going to recommend to the judge that he gets 5 years house arrest and work release. He is a very prominent businessman in Whitesburg. He helped them get their music festival off the ground. He was also very good friends with Judge Mullins. Yes, he was. He also has a conviction for bribery on his criminal record, but you can't find nothing at all about it. It doesn't say who he was accused of bribing. It doesn't say who, and it was a conviction. I think he pled, but can't find nothing about it. It's like it's just been wiped clean, other than what it says on his record. So I was following all of this, and I put in a public records request. We looked. There was still no recusal. It was coming up on sentencing, I guess, and it was around July. And they had to postpone the sentencing for him because when the Safer Kentucky Act, now this is our legislators, supposedly working to put this stuff into effect to protect our kids, right? To protect our communities. And our prosecutors are supposed to be using this stuff to protect the children, which is Butler's favorite chant. Oh, I'm protecting the kids. You're protecting your own kids. You're protecting your buddies' kids. And you're protecting your buddies. But what about those 2 kids on that case? Oh, no. Mm-hmm. What about the rest of the community? What about the rest of the community that has been outraged over that case? But no. We can't talk about that. So I do a show way back last year, and I talked about it, how there was no recusal on file. I mean, we didn't find a withdrawal where he withdrew as his defense attorney. Like, these are the things that I criticize, that I've had criticisms on, and these are the things that they get so upset about, because I'm educated on this stuff and I know how to call them out on their professional misconduct, their professional criticisms. Yes, you should not be doing these smexual things. Your personal life should not be bleeding over into your professional life. You shouldn't be hitting on your clients. If you're a defense attorney, divorce attorney, if you've got somebody coming to you needing your help, needing you to represent them in a criminal case or in a divorce, and you're saying, come lay down on my massage table. I'll give you $1,000 and you don't have to pay me to represent you in court. Are you going to trust that person that they're not going to then go sell your ass out to their buddy, the prosecutor? Just think about it. If you've got a judge, a prosecutor, and a defense attorney all in the mix, it doesn't matter what you take to court. It doesn't matter what your civil rights are. It doesn't matter what fairness is. It doesn't matter what what justice is, because it's fixed. It's all fixed. And then you add in the little part of money. How far? Well, what does money buy you? What does going into the judge's chambers buy you? I guess it just depends on the day, and it depends on what your circumstances are, because every single one of them is going to be different. And then you add in this big plan and scheme that they saw with all this substance abuse funding, drug court, SB 90, Senate Bill 90. It's all putting money in counseling. When I was a substance abuse counselor, we made $30,000 a year. That's it. You didn't make no more. I mean, you might get a quarter raise every 6 months, 3 months, whatever, from your company, but you're not going to make no more. That's your salary. That was your salary for a substance abuse counselor, $30,000. And it didn't matter what company you went to. That was the going rate. That was it. I got counselors now telling me they're making $120,000 a year. What when did I work? Let's see, I graduated in 2018, 2019. So I guess I was a substance abuse counselor in 2020. Yeah, this is when COVID hit. So I did it in 2020. This is 2025. You mean to tell me a substance abuse counselor income went from $30,000 a year in 2020 to now they can make 120, 150 grand a year? And you got Andy Bashir and everybody hollering, oh, they're taking their jobs. This peer support specialists. Oh, you mean the ones that people like Van Breeding and Matt Brown and Tim Robinson, you mean the ones that they all got to where it's a paid gig? Oh, and how did they set that up? So they have to actually hire them because, a certification is like $600. What addict is going to have $600 to go for training? So they pay for it for them once they choose them and hire them. And then they'll work them underneath them, pay them maybe $10, $12 an hour. But then they go charge Medicaid like $30 an hour. And then they keep the difference as administrative costs. Really? Really? And then you come out to the people, the voters, all misleading them, telling them, oh, they're taking our jobs. They're cutting our pay. Well, you just upped it like 3 or 4 times what it was. I mean, I ain't saying they shouldn't get paid, good salary, but my God, Do you know how many of them are even qualified? Because every single counselor I've had in my entire life, and I've had a it up here. Give me just a second and I will pull it back up. Okay. We will stop share. Well, here. Let's finish reading this real quick. We're almost done. And then we'll finish watching that of Taya. It says Collins was taken to Fayette Detention Center where bond was set at $37,000. He has since been released from custody. The charges have been referred to a grand jury. Bird Hog, I already read that. Collins was arrested by state police. Collins was later indicted on 4 counts of accepting bribes from a suspected drug dealer and on 1 convicted child, Chester, Chester, out of prison. Really? Well, I've heard that several of them around here, there have been times where they would pull somebody over, take them out of their car, take them back to the back, handcuff them, put them in the back of the police car, go back up to the front, to their vehicle where a shoebox was, and they pick the shoebox up, take it back to their car, the cruiser, get in the cruiser. I heard one instance there was like $85,000 in cash in a shoebox, and whenever the cop walked back and got in his cruiser with the shoebox and opened it up, you know, and looked at it and stuff, he got out and let the guy out of the back, took his handcuffs off of him, and the guy walked back, got in his car, and took off. I would say that probably happens a lot all over the place, not just here. But, you know, if that's true, I don't know if that's true or not. If that's true, you know, we got some serious issues here. And I pretty much believe it. I do. You got so much money and so many drugs coming into this county, but you don't ever see anything about any big busts. The only thing you ever see are possession. You might have a PFO. They love to throw them PFOs on there to work out plea deals, to negotiate plea deals. And then PFOs are 10 years apiece. Well, I know one girl that's been charged with probably 10 PFOs over the years, but they keep dropping them. Every time she gets a plea deal, they'll drop it. I mean, there comes a time when, you know, we have to kind of call these people out. The ones that have been trying to hold everybody else's feet to the fire. You know, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And they've been abusing their power for a very long time, and it's become normal now. They've been grooming women, I mean, to the point to where you can't even make this stuff up. The entitlement that they have, that they are allowed to do this. This is perfectly fine, and I just need to keep my nose out of it. It ain't none of my business. And just let them continue to do what they've been doing. Let the status quo stand. No, thank you. No, thank you. We don't want to do that. And I'm not the only one. There's a whole lot of us out here that do not want to do that. Okay. I think my kid's coming to get his clothes.
Office, my reentry papers said that I was ordered to do drug court by Judge Jimmy Kraft and get people to read life. Like, this is all documented. It's already proven that they've been doing this for a long time to set people up and get them back in trouble with their probation and parole and stuff. And then we just recently found out that they've been extending people's parole sentences even after your time is served out. They're extending your parole indefinitely. And drug court is a sentence in and of itself. And whenever I finished my prison time, I made parole and got out. My reentry papers from the prison said one thing. And then whenever I got to the parole office, my reentry papers said that I was ordered to do drug court by Judge Jimmy Kraft. And he's the head of the drug court program. And I didn't end up having to do it. They made me do the aftercare program, and I did all the other classes, the MRT, the substance abuse, the co-occurring disorders, the parenting classes. I did them all. And anger management. And I served out my sentence down to day 0. And I've never been more proud of anything in my life than accomplishing that with no problems. No failed drug tests, no missed appointments. And I went to go get my graduation, my gold seal, the certificate showing that I was complete and that I was free. And they said no, that they weren't going to release me. Wow. And then turns out it's until 2099.
Wow. All right.
And there are many other people that are being held on the exact same thing who have served their sentences out too.
All right. Ty, we're going to take a quick break here, but Ty Adams is going to stay with us. Again, folks.
There was an overwhelming amount of pressure on him.
Was Sheriff Mickey Stines involved in any of this?
I don't know. I know that he was never inappropriate with me sexually. He was always just professional with me. Like, he was firm, and he's taken me to jail before and stuff, but he's never crossed that line. So I don't know what else he might have been involved in, if anything, but not with me or anybody that I'm close friends with.
Okay. Now, from your perspective, is there any way that the sheriff of Letcher County wouldn't know about what you've told us about, these sex parties and other things that are going on?
No, there's no way he didn't know. Everybody knows.
Everybody knows. It's common knowledge out there.
Mm-hmm. There are hundreds of victims. That's not an exaggeration.
Let me ask you this. I want to get back to the judge for a second. At any point, were you with the judge when he was a judge? You told us the story when you were a teenager and he was one of the lawyers. How about as a judge?
Yeah, I've had many court cases that I've had to deal with him in a personal manner to deal with.
And what happened?
Favors for diversion, favors to pay a fine off, take care of a ticket. I mean,
when and where would these favors be paid?
In the chambers, somewhere in the courthouse. There's rooms all over the courthouse that I've been taken to over the years. I've met him like at the strip job in Whitesburg, different places. places of residence.
And at the courthouse, daytime, nighttime, when?
Both.
Like during the business day, while people are engaging in business in the courthouse?
There have been times, yes.
Wow. And when was the last time you had contact with Judge Mullins?
2022, I think is when it was. 2000. It was right after I got out of prison. I hadn't been out very long. Yeah.
And where was it that time? Was it in chambers? Was it somewhere else?
I went to see him at his chambers, and then I met him later somewhere else at the strip club.
Do you know if the camera was in chambers at that point?
I don't know. I don't know. I seen him on the outside. Like there's a door that goes out the side of the courthouse that him and the others would go outside and stand and smoke a lot, like in between court and stuff, like after lunch or whenever throughout the day. And that's where I met up with him that day. That last time I saw him there at the courthouse, I didn't go inside other than to be in the courtroom with my daughter. And then I spoke to him. I spoke to him before and after outside, and then I met up with him later on.
Let me ask you this, Ty. What was your reaction? What went through your mind when you heard that the sheriff had shot and killed the judge?
Finally, somebody has to look and see what they're doing here. They can't look away anymore. We have a chance to get help.
Are you involved in any civil lawsuit or anything at this point?
No.
Has anyone from the state?
I just want my freedom, and I want these people to be able to get their kids back and have a better chance at a future. We just want our freedom and our kids.
I remembered to unmute myself. My dog was throwing a fit over here. You know, Taya is not part of any lawsuits. You know, she doesn't get paid to go on these shows. These are not like paid gigs. She's not making no money. You know, none of these women have made a dime off anything. Poor Sabrina Adkins. She hasn't made nothing. She hasn't made a dime off nothing. Nothing. None of these women are out here, you know, getting all this money. That ain't happening.
We want to be able to rebuild and to heal.
Has anyone from the state police or the attorney general's office or from the federal government spoken to you about these allegations?
No, and we've been trying to get word out for a very long time. The attorney general was approached and he just kind of blew it off. There's a video of that interaction floating around on social media.
Yep.
And as far as the state police goes, you don't trust the state police. You don't trust many of the cops here at all. But I just heard recently that Mickey tried to go to the state police to have them open an investigation, and he was told no. So.
And what are your thoughts about what are your thoughts about the sheriff?
He's my hero. I mean, I'm sure that he's not a perfect man. Nobody is. But he's my hero, regardless.
Taya, I want to conclude here because you know your story a lot better than I do. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you think is important that folks who are watching tonight or people who are listening tonight should know?
Yes, we are still in danger. We are suffering from retaliation. There's been people who have lost their life over this. We need help. We need help from the outside. We need attorneys.
So I want to stop that right there because I'm going to blow your mind with something. From what I've found out, you know, I've had a couple of people. Everybody's looking for these tapes. Everybody's looking for the video. You know, Sabrina Adkins said in her interview with the Attorney General's office that she saw a part of one and that Chad Brown had some tapes. Well, they went and they interviewed Chad, or they tried to interview Chad. And all we know is what the investigation reports say. That's all we know, right? You'd think that they would be accurate, but all we know is what it says. And if I remember correctly, Matt Easter contacted them, Chad, asked them if they had any tapes. If I'm not mistaken, I think that they said they were trying to work out a deal. Like Chad was, he was facing some other charges and stuff. And I think that he was trying to talk to them about that. And they didn't want, no, they were not going to deal. They were not going to negotiate. They were not going to talk in any way, shape, or form about any of his stuff. And he gave them the big bird. Well, peace out then, dude. Well, what incentive does Chad have to cooperate? Well, I've got this other source of mine that says that a certain person had some of these videos and that they went to jail. And you know what, a lot of the people that we're talking about, you know, they're homeless, or they just go from place to place. They stay wherever somebody will let them stay. They usually don't have very many belongings. Excuse me. They'll usually have like a backpack or 2 or 3 or something. A lot of times people just carry the clothes on their back and maybe a couple bags with them, just what they can carry in their arms from place to place. And they said that whenever this person went to jail, they left all their stuff there at somebody's house. And so whoever's house this was, they got the tapes. But nobody knows that they got the tapes. They're scared. Who are they going to give them to? Who are they going to show them to? Well, then I find out from another person that allegedly Miss Lexi, you know, Miss Lexi Bentley, who lost her life a few years ago. And there's all these questions. Did it happen at the jail? Did it happen at Hazard Psych Ward? There's and then other people said she died at the psych ward or the jail. One person told me that they actually was a video from the security cameras at the jail, and that there was a video of her death. I don't know if that's true or not. The person that told me that said that that the video was in Edison Banks's office and that they saw it. So either they bold-faced lied or they really saw the video. in Edison Banks's office. I mean, there's so much stuff that if certain people were involved in all this stuff, they got rid of any of that evidence. Like, we're talking about prosecutors, we're talking about policemen, we're talking about judges, plural. We're talking about everybody that can make every bit of this go away. They can wipe it under the rug. They can do anything they want to with it. Anything they want to with anybody, with anything. And who's gonna challenge it? Who's gonna say a freaking word? I know that there have been many complaints. There have been complaints to the Office of Professional Responsibility. There have been complaints to the Bar Association. There have been complaints to the administration of the courts. There have been complaints to the governor's office. There have been complaints to the Attorney General's office. There have been complaints to the state police. There have also been complaints to the FBI. I mean, eventually we have task forces. All of those higher agencies have Smex trafficking and human trafficking task forces. Only we are stepping into a realm that we have never been before, because we're talking about an organized crime syndicate run by legal eagles, and every one of them sitting legal eagles. That's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And you bring in a community liaison and a rehab. Oh, and don't you forget the clinic. You got to bring in the medical clinic. I was talking to one person, and they were telling me about just the grooming and the victimization that they had been through since a child. Like, we're talking 9, 10, 11, 12. We're talking about babies. And then them be court ordered by Mullins himself, be court ordered to therapy, treatment. And I'm just talking about counseling. We're not even talking about rehab yet. We're just talking about counseling. Be court ordered to go to counseling. And this poor child, to have to go down there and sit in front of Van Breeding's pit bull and not be able to tell their counselor about what they've been going through. Like, that's the whole purpose of going to counseling, right? They court order you to go to counseling, and then you can't even tell the counselor about what's going on because they already know. Don't tell me they ain't heard the rumors. You got a whole bunch of recovering addicts that are broken and trying their best to heal, but maybe they're not. It just blows me away at how this system that they've put in down there in Whitesburg, like, this is what they have groomed everybody to think is normal. Like, these people think this is normal. They think this is okay. They think this is appropriate. And honey, they ain't. It can't be farthest from the truth. And I guess maybe it's just because of my own experience in all of this stuff. I actually went to credible places. I actually have a little bit of experience on, how that's supposed to be done. Not because I did it, just because I was a client. I went through it. And they sure weren't, whenever I went to jail, they weren't bending me over like a stripper to strip search me. That is the most incompetent. And if that's not incompetence, then what was it? Because it sure wasn't appropriate. And then I had other women that said, well, she never did me that way. So only some got it done to them, only some. So some you had squat normally, but then others you bent over like a stripper. Was that just out of some kind of control thing, like to embarrass that specific person? Was that it? I could see somebody doing something like that. Try to embarrass and humiliate someone even more so than what they're already going through. We've been told, we've heard stories about whenever Larry Collins was a judge up there, that he would bring inmates, male inmates from the jail up to his office. And he was sleeping with the inmates too, back when he was a judge. And remember, I had a former jail employee come and tell me about his experience with the laundry room. It was his job. He had just gotten his job. I don't know how long he had been there, but that day it was his it was laundry. So he was supposed to take the female out of the cell. They choose one female to do the laundry, and they put everybody gets a bag, like a mesh bag, and you put your underwear and your white t-shirts and your bras in your mesh bag, and they'll put a number on it, and so that will be yours. I mean, it's the best that you're going to get. And that one female would then take all the bags and go do the laundry. And he said that he went and got that female. They went up to the laundry, wherever it was at. And this was in Letcher County Jail years and years and years ago. And he said she did her laundry, put the laundry bags in and everything. And then she comes back over to him, drops her drawers to her ankles, bends over the table that's sitting there. And he said, I was mortified. I didn't know what to do but holler at her, pull your pants back up. And I said, what did you do? And he was there we go. Let's see. All right. I forget where I was at. I think this was over.
just need help. And something else, like I said, for what we're planning to do with the future is we're planning to start something called Lexi's Place. And it's just to give a little piece of land and the resources and volunteers to build homes for these women who have been victimized by Letcher County. So that's our big project.
Adams,
Finding healing and moving forward so they can have a chance to get their kids.
thank you for sharing your story. Please stay safe, and we may be speaking to you again because this story, I think, is just beginning. Ty,
let's see. I had another one here that I wanted to talk about. I had it pulled up, and then whenever Alan called, I exited out of it. All right. Let's stop sharing that. Okay. Let me get all these down here. Okay. 4.5 did it go? Here we go. All right. So here is an article. It's a Facebook post here. And it's from Ned Pillersdorf. This is Ned's post. He wrote, "If you have been following my posts or watching on court TV, have been fairly critical of how criminal defendants have been treated in Letcher County. Well, there is a new prosecutor and a new sheriff. Over the weekend, I tried to get a felony indictment bench warrant withdrawn because my client had previously had her case resolved in 2022. Well, it should have been withdrawn, right? This case was already resolved in 2022. This indictment should have never come out in the first place. All right. So let's not pat Butler on the back too much, y'all. And this is Ned Pillersdorf. This is his Facebook post. When did he? This was April 7th. This was 4 days. 4 days after Butler's Facebook ultimatum to everybody in Letcher County and beyond and beyond. Buddy, I tell you what, Ned, bite my tongue. I bite my tongue. Okay, so he tried to get a felony indictment bench warrant withdrawn because his client had previously had her case resolved in 22. Well, what if that client didn't have Ned Pillersdorf as an attorney? What if that client didn't have any money and had to just deal with public defender? Do you think it would have been withdrawn so fast? Despite the resolution, she was indicted over the same charges in 2023, and a bench warrant was issued for her arrest. Now, that's not good job, Matt. No, that's not a good job, Matt. That should have been double checked, and the indictment should have never been put out. I mean, should have never happened in the first place. Today, not only was the bench warrant withdrawn like it should have been, but an order was entered dismissing the indictment. Well, shouldn't it have been? Am I missing something? Am I missing something? Please tell me if I'm missing something here. What am I missing? What am I missing? A few minutes after the order was entered dismissing the indictment, a text message was received from the prosecutor, Matt Butler, Butler, that he personally apologized to my client who was in custody, meaning she had been arrested. I wonder how long she had to stay in jail. Does he tell that? That he personally apologized to my client who was in custody, even though Matt was not in office when my client was wrongfully indicted. Oh, okay. So Matt wasn't in office whenever she was indicted. Okay. It's been a while since a prosecutor personally apologized to one of my criminal defense clients, but it happened today. Was there an apology to Sabrina Adkins? Was there an apology to Jennifer Hill? Brian Tremlay, when I went to jail when I was 20, I am 44 now. But when they stripped me down, it didn't bother me too much. Matter of fact, I laughed when the guard looked. It was like, wow. Jeez. Oh, I just try to have some fun with old Butler. I can say his name just fine. Man, I tell you what, we've got one messed up state. This whole world is getting messed up, man. So here's my take on a lot of the people that are being so upset over the names that are being dropped in all of this. Get ready. That's all I know to tell people. Only you know what you've done and what you've not done. Only you know, you and God. And, you know, listen, we're running our own investigation. If the state cops ain't gonna do it, if the feds ain't gonna do it, if the county ain't gonna do it, we're gonna do ours. I mean, you know, we just little old us. We ain't got no power. We ain't nobody. But we're going to try to find out the truth, because there have been so many people who've been affected negatively. Let me go back to Patrick Little. I want to address this. So after he gets, Patrick Little's the one who was indicted 44 counts on the 2 children. And Matt Butler was his defense attorney and then had to recuse. After I did my show, he put in his recusal. After I did my first show and I mentioned it, he hurries up and files a recusal with the Attorney General's office. But in that recusal, because I did another public records request and I got it from the Attorney General's office. And on that recusal, usually their replacement is given by the Attorney General, right? The Attorney General's office would then appoint a special prosecutor to take his place on that case. Well, he just went ahead and skipped that step. In his recusal, he just added down there, don't worry about it. Bill Sloan, Pike County Bill Sloan prosecutors already agreed to take it. Very unusual. I mean, I've never seen that before, but I don't look at a whole lot of recusals, in fairness. But it just seemed awful strange. I don't think that it usually happens that way, but I could be wrong. I'm wrong about all kinds of stuff. But, that's one good thing about me, is I'm not afraid to say that I was wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me, show me, and I will happily admit it. I mean, it ain't no big deal. I was wrong. My goodness. I'm wrong all the time. I mean, only a fool would think that they were right all the time. Can't never be wrong. Sheesh, I don't get along too well with people like that. And then I found out that some people had spoken to Bill Sloan. Is that his name? Prosecutor over here. Yeah. I have not spoken to him, but people that I know have. And they talked to him about that case. And they asked him about it. And from what they told me, his response was, that case was so jacked up, using my own language. That case was so jacked up, I couldn't touch it. I was afraid if I touched it, it would just fall apart. So he just allegedly pushed it right on through the court. Well, I mean, I guess what was he supposed to do? Well, now I can tell you what I think you were supposed to do, but you guys don't seem to like my advice or my opinion on those kinds of things. Just like with Butler, the buck stops with you. The buck stops with you. Goes to the top. Same thing with our attorney general and our governor. Buck stops with them. Can you imagine the fallout that's going to happen when it comes out that all of this was going on in the state of Kentucky underneath our law enforcement and our leadership? You've got an entire Smex money laundering, Smex trafficking, human trafficking, rug reeling, and now you've got a serial unaliver 2 hours away with a torture chamber that the DA knew about for the last 5 years. Who's he been getting rid of? Is that why Mickey was so damn terrified? Was he afraid that they were going to take him to the torture chamber and drop him off? What all does he know? I heard Lexi had a tape. I don't know how true it is, but I heard Lexi was blackmailing Mullins, allegedly, with a tape that she had made in his office. Now, I don't know if it's true. People say that they have seen that tape and that it was absolutely hilarious. Say it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. Everybody's looking for these tapes. They're becoming a very highly coveted commodity. So, any of you out there, and listen, and people are like, oh, why ain't they coming forward? Why ain't they? Would you come out and tell anything? Would you come forward? Because nobody thinks that anything's going to happen. This has all been like normalized for so long that you've got active policemen who are still very high in their own specific agencies. That if it comes out what I found out today, I've heard it. I've been hearing it. But you know, when you've heard it from like the 10th person, only, you know, I don't know if I'm supposed to be dropping all these names or not. Like, I don't even know what to do with all this information. I mean, I'm not the only one that has it. I'm sure not the only one that has it. And I've been right all along. Everything, well, I mean, you know, I get some details wrong from here time to time, but the big picture, I've been right all along. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And the people that are all involved in this, you know, this is just something that they've been doing for so long. I mean, you know, of course it's on the down low, so they know it's wrong. They probably ain't admitting it to certain people, but at the water cooler, talking to their buddy up at the head of the holler in the at the garage, people are afraid because there ain't going to be no consequences. There ain't no consequences. There's nobody that's going to, for as of right now, there ain't nobody that's going to be going to prison. And that's what they need to do, is go to prison. They need to be locking them up in that concrete jungle down there. Give them a little taste of their own medicine. Show them what it feels like. Because, baby, you've been committing crimes. Your ass belongs in cuffs and behind the steel door. You ain't above the law. Just because you wear a badge, that don't mean you're above the law. If anything, you're a disgrace. A disgrace. To get up, to have the nerve to get up and give the kind of speeches that they give, and then knowing what they've been doing behind closed doors, behind the scenes, under the cover of darkness at night when they leave the bar. shame. Shame on you. You do whatever you want in your personal time. You sleep with whoever you want. But when you start using your position to victimize people into sleeping with you, when you start approaching young women with two of your buddies, offering to pay her car payment and take her to Tennessee to have a big, what, orgy, I guess is the only word to use. You don't have no conscience? No conscience whatsoever? Like, you proud of what you did, or you just gonna stand there and say, no, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Well, guess what? All they gotta do is do search warrants on your phones, because y'all been so sloppy. Y'all been sending messages. Y'all been sending text messages. Y'all been sending pictures. All them naked pictures you all send to these girls in the bathtub, on the beach, in the bed, in the swimming pool, in the jacuzzi. And where's all these rugs going? Taking these girls from poor families, from poverty-stricken families, up in the heads of these haulers. Taking these girls, flop $1,000 down in cash, buddy. That'll get them to do anything you want. Take them shopping, take them to the mall. You know what I thought of when I heard that? Little girls is what I thought of when I heard that. Why would a 60-year-old man be taking girls to the mall? Girls. I know maybe adult women like to go to the mall too, but when I hear that, I think of little girls. They want nice clothes. They want nice shoes. Well, you think you got little girls that ain't never had anything. They've never had anything. Not even parents that guide them and teach them. So these kind of men know who to pick, who they can tempt, and who they can, you know what it reminds me of, what it is, back in the day, the shaking, I forget what they called it. They called it something. But back in the day, them dirty old men, you'd be getting out your car at the dollar store and hear this, let's see. It's my blood pressure medicine, but that's what they do. You know what they used to call that? Eastern Kentucky mating call, baby. That was what the dirty old men would do. Now, like my fancy friend, I've got a real fancy friend. I call her my fancy friend. I love her so much, but she has never lived the life that some of us have lived. Never, 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 never. She's high society, highfalutin. And no man ever saw her getting out of a vehicle and shook a pill bottle at her. Never in a million years would anybody do that to her. Just because of the way that she carries herself, just because of the way that she looks, just her whole persona and everything about her. Nobody would ever mistake her for someone who would know what that sound is. Now, you get somebody like me walking out of their, getting out of their vehicle, and them dirty old men shake their pill bottles. Be like, I know that sound. I know that sound. And it wasn't, you know, and that's what they do. And they would get, I mean, you're talking about people that they've never met a day in their life. They'd still shake a pill bottle at them. If they're dope sick or if they don't, you know, it doesn't matter. If you're in active addiction, back in those days especially, pain pills were hard to find. They were hard to get. And people knew that. They took advantage of that. It's a shame. It's a shame. I reckon snow cane is very popular with the high society crowd in Letcher County, and has been for a long time. We got all kinds of people that have been snorting it off of the judge's desk over the decades. Several of them. I can't tell you how many. You know, I've just gotten today talking about so-and-so back 20 years ago. Them snorting oxys off picnic tables and stuff. Only you all know if you've done this or not. You know, like, we don't know. We don't know. Only you know if you've done these things or not. Only you know if you've done things that you could get caught for or not. Like this stuff 20 years ago, doing OCs off of the picnic table, there ain't nobody ever going to be able, even if they did say, yeah, I thought, well, I mean, somebody saw it and they told me, but they can't prove that. There's no way to prove that kind of stuff now. It's been too long ago. And if you've been watching your P's and Q's for the last 15 years, but yet you showed your honey 20 years ago, well, somebody still remembers that. Somebody still remembers that. And they're going to tell it. They're going to tell it. Especially now. Like, this show has evolved and turned into it's like it's got a life of its own now. It's absolutely got a life of its own. Everybody's got cameras now. Everybody's got a Ring camera or 5. Everybody's got a phone. Everybody's got a camera. You know, back whenever our cell phones really started becoming popular and people had them, a lot of these men never thought that these girls would video them secretly. And never thought when they had one bent over the desk that they'd have their phone laid there. Turn it on before they ever got started. There's allegedly tapes out there, and we're all looking for them. So if anybody's got one, get a hold of me, because we're looking for them. We want the proof. We want the proof. We want the truth. And all these people that have been committing crimes against women, crimes against children, and then hiding behind their robes, hiding behind their positions, hiding behind their family members, hiding behind their elections. It's coming out. It's coming out. If you've been paying for Smex, because apparently that's what they liked, that. Like, they like to pay for it. It's very strange. But they like to pay for it. I guess that was all part of the thing. But we live so close to the state line, you all. If you took them over to Virginia or Tennessee, how many times you take them to the cabin in Tennessee? How many times you take them to the houseboat or the lake house? How many times you take them to Tennessee? Because everybody's got a piece of property down in Tennessee, I reckon. Let's find out. We're digging. We're digging. There's so much more. I'm gonna show the old preacher man's conversation. We're gonna see how preacher man talks to his female clients. And whoever has hired him, you guys got egg all over your face. You're about to. You should have already put a pin in that, buddy. But no. Nepotism. Well, I don't even know if it's nepotism now. I think everybody's got the, I'm not going to say anything else about it. I'm just going to let his own words speak for themselves. And we will do that tomorrow. Let's see. We had a couple super chats. Super sticker. Thank you, Miss Connie. Bless you, bless you, bless you. And then we got another one. There we go. Keep up the great work. Galen Gambardella. Did I say that right? Bless you, bless you, bless you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Miss Terry, the reason they like paying for it, keep in mind that taxpayers' funding to the courts and the throwing money is a laugh at the public. It's a sign saying screw the public. Well, you know, Taya said that Mullins threw the money in her face. You know, and I could not believe that Vinny, when she said he told her to get cleaned up, he was like, what's that mean? Those are the kinds of things that's an example of having a man interview a female victim of Smex abuse. It wasn't no different when Matt Easter interviewed Jennifer Hill and Sabrina Adkins. The narrative that he formed himself as an investigator, he framed the narrative of both of their interviews and their statements. Why? Why would Matt Easter do that from the Attorney General's office for a man that he never knew, that he's never known in his life? Like, he knew better than that. You cannot tell me that he is an investigator, a senior investigator for the Attorney General's office, and he didn't know any better than that. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Forgive me, Lord. Forgive me. I can't help it sometimes. I just cannot help myself. And these people have like $500,000 salaries, you know, or whatever. It may not be that much, but like these are rich, wealthy people, very wealthy. And I've got more common sense and ethics sleeping on my couch in a $12,000 house. But hey, you know, listen, I have given all that to God a long time ago. if it's been God's will for me to be poor all these years, I'll be poor. I'll keep it. Some things are just not worth your integrity. Some things just, and listen, I ain't no saint. I ain't no different than these women. My lifestyle, I was living the exact same lifestyle that they was. I just broke the cycle, thank God. 15 years ago, my life changed, and it was, I got saved and I got baptized, but I also got on medicine. I found Suboxone, and my life changed. It stabilized everything that was so screwed up in my head. It stabilized me enough to where I could be a functioning member of society. I could be a mother. I could take care of my kid, a single mother at that. I could take care of with a baby on each hip, honey. And I went back and I got my education. 15 years on the good side now. My life changed. But abstinence wasn't working. And it didn't work for a lot of other people either. And they knew it. They knew it. They knew it. They manipulate. They're using this system to keep everybody in this cycle of the criminal justice system. Take their kids. And my mom raised my oldest son, so I know how that feels. I know what it does to you when they take your child from you, from your custody. All it did was send me deeper into active addiction, because now I don't have a child that I am responsible for. Now I can go do whatever. And it just got worse. And every person that I've ever talked to, that's what happened to them too. Now, I'm not saying people don't deserve to have their kids took, because sometimes they do. But you know, they sure as hell wouldn't take these over here next door. And you had the school calling so much that they wouldn't even, they didn't even care. Neighbors, the school, and I could go on and on and on over the on the points of why they should have taken those children. But no, they want to come after people's kids like mine. And if I hadn't have had the knowledge that I had when all that happened to me, they would have taken mine. If my mom had not given me the money to hire Ned Pillersdorf in the first place, they would have taken mine. All right, guys. We've been on here long enough. We got school tomorrow. Thank you, Jesus, for another day being able to come together in your name, Lord. We just pray that you will continue to keep us under your hand, Lord, of protection. We're getting kind of hairy. We're getting deep in all this stuff, Lord, and we just ask that you will guide us through it, that you will take us to the other side of the storm in one piece, Lord. I pray that you forgive me for my sins, Lord, and help me to not say the things that I don't need to say, and give me the words to be able to say what we do need to say. Lord, I just pray for everybody who's struggling right now with medical and physical problems, Lord. We pray for Jenny. Jenny's going through a lot with her reconstruction, and so we just pray for strength, Lord. We pray for healing. We pray for peace. We pray for the emotional healing of all of these women, Lord, and men and women, all of them, the families of the victims, even the families of the perpetrators, Lord. We even pray for them. I give that to the Holy Ghost, and I pray that the Holy Ghost prays for me, because I just don't have the words with all that stuff. I love you, Jesus. I'm so thankful for your presence in my life. I'm thankful. I'm so thankful that you saved my soul, Jesus. I praise you. I give you all praise, honor, and glory. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Well, we will see you all on the other side. Want to get you new internet. hillbillycrime@gmail.com. You can always send me an email. Make sure you get you some merch. I've been working on some new designs. I got one new zipper hoodie up for Halloween. We've got and I've got some other designs. I just got to get them up. It won't take me I just got to sit down and do it. Jenny's coming back on. Oh, and I wanted to finish saying what I was trying to say a long time ago about Patrick Little. Okay, so he after he took his plea bargain for 5 years house arrest and work release, he comes out and tells everybody that he's innocent. He is absolutely innocent, that he is not guilty of what he is being accused of, and that his lawyer told him that he had better take that plea bargain, because if he takes it to trial and gets convicted, he was looking at like 30 years. So he was looking at 30 years in prison, and he got work release and house arrest. How does that work? Okay, so I start thinking, could he really be innocent? Because he messages me personally and says, I'm innocent. I can't believe you're saying all this stuff about me. Well, honey, all I'm doing is reading the newspaper, first of all. Sam Adams put it in his newspaper. It was in the courthouse. That's all we did was read the newspaper. I didn't make this up. I didn't just pull it out of thin air. None of this stuff. Anything I say has either been told to me, or we found it in a newspaper, or we've got documentation, or it's a witness statement. Hush. So I start thinking, is he really innocent? Could he be innocent? Then, and I start like feeling ashamed of myself and, oh gosh, well, could he really be? I mean, he signed the guilty plea. He's the one that said he was guilty. How are we supposed to deal with that when you sign a guilty plea saying that you're guilty of this, but then after you do that, you tell everybody, I'm innocent. I was forced into that plea deal. Well, then somebody found the victim's impact statement and read it to me. No, you're guilty, Patrick. You're guilty. And the fact that you would come out after signing a plea deal, admitting your guilt, which means you also had to admit your guilt in court. When I heard the victim's impact statement, I don't think I have ever been more proud of another female in my life. These were 2 children that he pled guilty to. And I just, that impact statement was enough. I won't even go into what it was, but it was enough. And it was enough to convince me. So you can save your pleas of innocent. If you were really innocent, then you wouldn't have signed a guilty plea. Now, I know sometimes we have to sign guilty pleas to save ourselves over BS charges and stuff like that. That was not the case in this. All right, guys. Well, we will see you all tomorrow. Peace out, Girl Scout. Bye.
You can't hide from hillbilly crime.
You can't hide from hillbilly crime.
You can't hide from hillbilly crime.
You may not know that there's a crew in town. The head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear. The sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair.
Sheriff got a secret he won't keep. Judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell. Dark pass away, get the sound of a shotgun shell.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Neighbors hide behind their blinds. Whisper tales of troubled minds. Skeletons covering the mountainside. A treacherous reality in the pines.
Winter reveals the hidden lies. Moonlight couldn't mask the cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise.